Hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of YOMO, A Year of Magical Learning. Today we're on book 105 and we want to talk a little bit about Bill Bryson. I think this is one of your favorite authors, so let's kick it off.
Yeah, I think Bill Bryson is my favorite author. I think it's Nassim Taleb,
Mm,
Bill Bryson are like 1A and 1B. They're such different writers. One
right.
of them is more Bill Bryson. Have you ever read a Bill Bryson book?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a, I mean, I don't even know how would you describe Bill Bryson as a writer?
I mean, I think Bill Bryson, it's one of those guys where he takes similar to me, he's like similar to Richie Feynman, right? He takes something complicated, he make and something boring and he make it interesting.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
So like you say, hey, in the history of this and history of that, right? He has a way to tell a story that makes it really good.
Right.
On the other end, where you're talking about Nicholas Taleb, right? He has very eccentric ideas, which is and a lot of
He's
times
provocative. Yeah.
we're provocative and the anti of what you would see on the average people. They're two different kind of author, but they both are tremendously good. And
Yeah.
I like them too, because like I told you, I read all of Sim Nicholas Taleb's book, and
Right.
because he has this series that I really love. What he says, it's out of this world, but at the same time, it's true. If you really think about it and you kind of follow through, then it is true. I do
It's
like it.
digestible. They're both digestible.
Yeah.
They both take, like you said, really complex topics and turn them into something that anybody can understand.
Bill
And
Bryson's on the other end. He gets to your level,
he does it. Yeah.
and he able to bridge that gap with your knowledge. And the things a lot of times just boring, like textbooks that you learn in school that you just it's just not fun for you to. But he takes it and he spin it in a way, but at the same time, a very educational. So this guy has a talent for that.
He has an incredible talent. And I wish I could give like an amazing analogy as to how I feel when I'm going through a Bill Bryson experience, but it just feels like the most calming person guiding you through this nice
Mm.
leisurely trip where you're just smooth sailing along like a river cruise. He's pointing out facts over there, and then he just makes it like this amazing, like, oh, I didn't know that about that kind of a tree. I don't know what it is. It's just something about the way that he weaves all this stuff in of just complete mundane, boring information into this amazing journey that you're kind of on with him. And you just feel like, it's like this person just sitting by a fireside or something like that, just
Right.
talking about like,
He's a
yeah,
storyteller.
yeah,
Yeah.
Taleb is a storyteller as well. It's
Yeah.
just his
Yeah.
stories are fiery and like passionate and like
Yes.
I
Yes. Either you love him or you hate him.
right. I don't know how
Right.
anybody could ever hate Bill Bryson, to be honest with you. Like I mean that's hating your grandpa.
People will love Bill Bryson.
Right.
On the left side, somebody's gonna really, really love him, and somebody's gonna really, really hate him just because of the way they speaks, right?
Right.
And if you can relate to him, you're gonna say, hey, this guy's what I really want to be. I want to understand the knowledge and information he has, right? And so Taleb has that personality in him that he's very, very direct and he speaks his mind.
Yeah. Throws it in your face for sure.
Yep.
Which I like it because he's really smart too. So anyway,
Yeah.
on with the reflection. So this is a Bill Bryson book, one of my favorite authors for sure.
Mhm.
And the reflection title for this one is You Were Born to Question This World. This book is called At Home. It's a short history of private life by Bill Bryson. I don't know. Have you read this particular Bill Bryson
Not this
book?
one, not this particular one.
So this was like a really interesting off the wall. I didn't even know how, like, I don't know where he comes up with this stuff, but I actually, that's kind of what the reflection's about. So this particular book's about Bill has a home in England and he just was looking around one day and was like, why is this room is, why is the fireplace where the fireplace is, the typical Bill Bryson fashion. Basically takes you through each room in his house and goes through the history of like where the dining room came from and why did we call the boardroom, right? Like it's above board because there used to be a table. The big table that was in the big dining hall was called a board. Like it'd be what's going on above board, i.e. the table, and then it's a boardroom, and like anyway, it's fun stuff like that where you're like, I had no idea. Like, why is the fireplace where it is, in a house? Why is the kitchen where it is? Why, anyway, it was a really interesting journey. And I the thing with any Bill Bryson book that I've always, what I love and what I hate about it is he goes through so much stuff that I almost don't really retain any of it because it's just a fun journey. But at the same time, I learn a ton, but it's just so much information that he's going through that it's hard to it's hard to almost like grasp onto something that you're just like, oh yeah, like this is the central thesis of this. No, it's a meandering journey of all kinds of knowledge, and it's just fun. It's a good book. I recommend it if you want to check it out. this particular reflection title was about you were born to question this world. And to go along with our love of Bill Bryson fest going on here, after I finished this book, I was like, man, this guy is just somebody that I aspire to be one day. He just I want to consume everything that he's written and anything that he's ever produced. It was just such fun journeys, and you can just tell this guy is inquisitive. He's just so inquisitive, and he's so open to the world around him and looking at things, open to seeing things from a different paradigm and exploring and questioning and using his imagination. And that's what this journey is all about, right? Like that is what the Year of Magical Learning. Bill Bryson is and Naim Taleb are both Clubany members at heart, for sure. You know, I mean, like that is absolutely, you know, if someday we have like a graduation, you know, where like we're like Harvard or whatever, and we have like scholarships are given out, and we have like honorary doctorates, so we can of Clubany world. Like, I mean, for sure, Bill Bryson and Naim Taleb would be honored as honorary, you know, doctorates of Clubany.
Yes, pretty much embrace the Clubany doctrine.
They live it. I mean, they're doing the same thing that we're doing. They both just live it, right? And you know, we talked about, you know, like for this journey, you know, that's what this is all about. And I talked about in this reflection, you know, we talked about the idea of living with less certainty and more inquiry, if you remember back from the book The Biggest Bluff. And we talked about the idea of we were born to question, and children ask 200 to 300 questions each day from a more beautiful question. We learned about our superpowers are our imaginations that we learned in Sapiens, right? We talked about how humans are the composers of the world and things that we learned in the Entangled Life. These are all the things that personify the Clubany ideal and what we're trying to do here, you know, going forward. And all I could think after I read this book was like, just don't be afraid to live like Bill Bryson and embrace your humanity. And like, this is who we are. This is what we were born to do. You know, you are born to do what Bill Bryson did and just be sitting in a room and go, man, I'm just looking at the corner of my room right now and be like, you know, how do they, like, why do we have leather chairs? You know, like what's the reason behind the leather chairs, and why do they, you know, look the way that they do? And, you know, what's up with whatever, you know, the way that the roofs of our house are tilted, like why does our windows look like this? What's the architecture behind it? What's the science and math? You know, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can just look around, like that is what we are born to do. It's just question the world around you and use your imagination and create and then share, right? So, you know, I finished this one off with you were born to find your own beautiful question and to never stop searching for those answers. And I feel like Bill Bryson just personifies that. So the question that we can leave for everybody at the end of this conversation, that what you and I can kind of unpack here, is what's something that you can see right now that you don't understand, that you want to learn more about? Love to pause there, get your thoughts, and go from there.
Yeah. So, you know, the reflection reminds me of that story I told you before. It's about the 4 monkeys in a cage with a ladder and a bunch of bananas dangling on top. Right. And so the scientists put in 4 monkeys in the cage with a ladder and a banana on top. And as a monkey climbed the ladder, the scientists would throw cold water at it, so that to prevent the monkey from going to get the banana, climbing a ladder to get the banana. And then slowly but certainly, the scientists took out one of the monkey, put in a new monkey, and the new monkey goes start climbing a ladder, and the other monkey, the other 3 original monkey, start beating up the new monkey because scientists stopped throwing cold water after the first initial monkeys. So the new monkey, when it climbs the ladder, he didn't get in a cold shower, but he got beat up and was chastised by the other 3 monkeys.
Interesting.
Right? Yeah. Eventually, the scientists replaced all the original monkeys. Like no more monkeys that ever got experience a cold shower. Put all new monkeys in. But every single time a monkey would climb a ladder, the other one would say, no, you can't do that. Beat them up.
The new monkeys did it again?
No. So every time you put a new monkey in, right?
Oh, I thought you said they replaced all 4 of the monkeys with 4 new monkeys, and like they had never seen that before.
Oh, so they replaced him.
Oh, I got you. That makes sense.
So let's say the 4 monkey, they would get a cold shower.
Oh, I see. They slowly replace them.
And you take out one, you put out a new one in. That new one, new one in wants to climb the ladder. Like, hey, there's bananas up top. The other 3 monkey would beat him up. Then you take another original one out. You put another one in. The new one is starting to climb the ladder.
They don't even know the origins.
The first new monkey. He also beats up gang up on the newest monkey because he got beat up by the other 3 guys. Now he's
that's
beat
crazy.
Up. So eventually, they replace all the monkeys one by one, and all the new monkeys has never been given a cold shower, but they took on that premise of never climb the ladder
Right.
to get bananas.
Yeah.
Right. And to me, it reminds me of the stories, because if you're not inquisitive, you're going to fall into the trap of you being contained in a box and you don't know why.
Yeah.
Right. And so having, a more beautiful questions allows you to buck that stigma of, this is how things were, right? You ask why. Why were it like that? The daughter saw her mom putting the turkey in, and then she would trim off the end of the turkey. And the daughter was asking, it was kind of, curious. Say, hey, mom, why do you trim the end of the turkey before you put it in the oven? And she said, well, I don't know. Your grandma did it, so I did it too. Right. And then a couple of days later, the granddaughter asked the grandmother, say, hey, grandmother, my mom trimmed the end of the turkey because, she saw you do it. And he said, why did you do it? And she said, well, dear, when I was cooking turkey, the oven was so small that it won't fit. So I had to chop it off. Right. So the thing is, these things,
you just don't even know where shit comes from.
You continue to do the same thing, but the reason for that, it wasn't applicable anymore. So to me, like, having an inquisitive mind, ask questions, right? I think this is the essence of, be able to not fall into that trap of inheriting things that it no longer applies to you.
Right.
You think about it. If you keep doing that, you're gonna be really, really stuck in some kind of containment.
Hang on one quick second. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry about that. House cleaner was here and she was wanted to vacuum up here, and I was like, yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine. Anyway, all right, back to it. Sorry to break.
Yeah, so never stop searching for answers, even if you think there is already an answer, because the answer could be different. Let's say you build a pitch roof, right? Why do you build a pitch roof?
I have no idea. Well, I mean, for the rain, probably.
It's actually for the snow.
That's for the snow. Yes. Snow?
No, because the snow, like, depending on the weather, right? The snow would have a lot of weight on your roof. It will collapse your roof. So depending on where you are at, you have a steeper roof in places where it has a lot of snow.
Makes sense.
So you think about it, the weather changes. So sometimes you don't need steep roof anymore. So that's what I'm saying is that you always have to search for answers, even though the answers has been answered for you before, but it may have changed, right? And so that's some of the reason why you never ever take, I guess, for granted what you were given or what you were told. You have to want to ask your own questions and figure out the answer for yourself.
I could not agree more. As a matter of fact, like I'm actually reading right now. The book that I'm reading right now is the 1984, the Big Brother book, and that's kind of what that whole book's about. So it's kind of top of mind right now. Of like, they literally are just crafting new messages and erasing old messages and crafting new messages to try to control the narrative going forward, where people don't even remember. They don't even remember if they remembered what they remember. It's and I'm not saying that that's what the goal in life is, but to your point, like, there's so many things that we just inherit along the way where we're like, I don't know why I do what I do. I don't know why I go to the office. I don't know why we all went to the office every single day. Like, that's crazy to leave your family, just this whole work from home world these days. Like it makes no sense to go drop your kid, shove all your kids into this one tiny room where they all just get each other sick all day long and never see their families. And then, like, I mean, as a parent, that sounds awful to
you think about it, you only see your kids, like, you get them.
Some people sleep for like a half an hour. I mean, like, they get home at 6:30 and the kid goes to bed at 7:30 because they got to get up the next morning at 6:30 to go take him to the daycare so they can, like, I mean, like, that isn't that nothing around. Like, why the hell do we do that? Like, I mean, and I get it that we all needed to go somewhere to work and we could divide and conquer and specialize and whatever, but at the same time, I don't get it. Like, the things that we just accept in life that are I don't know.
It was done before. You accepted it, right? And to me, if you don't ask that question, you will never ever going to start to look for answers. And that's why they are able to enslave you,
Right.
We are slaves in essence, because you think about it, you are to do a certain thing at a certain time, right? And you bust your ass, and we pay you enough for food and shelter. That's it. You think about it. You wake up at like early, 5 or 6 a.m., and then you get some breakfast, get your kids ready, drop them off at the daycare, and then you go to work all day long, right? And
Right.
then you go back and you pick up your kids, put them to bed, you eat dinner, you take a shower, you go to bed. And you do that until you're 70, 75 before
Right.
you retire. Shit, it's just because you couldn't work anymore. That's why you retire. Yeah, you're not retiring for shit. So it's like the institutions are trying to enslave you, and they will use different methods to enslave you. You're not in a cell, but you have no control, no freedom.
Right. And you don't understand why.
I understand why, because you
Right.
accepted everything that passed down to you, because everybody works. And then if you start to
Everybody
buck the
goes to school.
trend,
Everybody goes to some formal education. Everybody goes to, like, I mean, look, I get it.
you have to go to school. Everybody
That's
said you
how
have to
you
go,
learn.
you have to go get a college education to
Right.
get a good job. Everybody said you have to buy a house. Everybody said you have to do this, have to do that. Everybody have to, you have to get married. Everybody says this and that. Well, they say, hey, it's not like they ask you, hey, do you want to work? Do you want to buy a house? Do you
Yeah, what
want
do
to
you
get
want to
married?
do? Yeah,
I
right.
mean, no one
Right.
asked you, do you want to? So everybody had to. You must. And then especially for the men, they say, you gotta man up and take the shit. Right?
Embrace the suck as what
Embrace the
you're looking for.
suck and eat the
Yeah.
frog.
Right.
And
Eat
to
the frog.
me, that's just easily how people can manipulate you if you don't ask questions. You
Right.
gotta ask questions.
And you got to not just ask the question, then you got to go explore and figure out why, and then
Yeah,
go
ask the
explore further.
questions so you
Like
can
once you
find the
ask
answer.
once you ask one question, the questions never stop after that. That's the beauty of questioning, right? Because
Right.
it's a rabbit hole you will go down forever. The club any question that we've been asking ourselves about is like, why do we all have to have an investor into a company to be able to start up a company? What does money have to do with meaningful work necessarily? It has
Right.
nothing to do with it. Like making money out of your working environment has nothing to do with producing meaningful output. Those two are completely different things, but we've completely tied them together,
Right.
at the hip. You can't produce meaningful work unless you have somebody to fund your meaningful work project, and it generates a certain amount of meaningful work. And then it's all about just making money. What happens if you separate those two out? What if we just focus on meaningful work and invested our time into projects and stuff like that? Could we also produce value out of this world where we can still live in the environment, still make money, still be able to live a life, but not necessarily have to do it in the same model that everybody else does at that point in time? Like that beautiful question, I guess, if you will, has led us down a rabbit hole of 2 years of thinking, asking another question, trying more stuff, thinking, asking more questions, trying more stuff. And it'll probably lead us on a lifetime of trying to do this stuff as we continue to get further and further down the road and understand what works and what doesn't work. And that's what questioning does. Like that's what Bill Bryson did. He just looked around his freaking house and he just kept going. And then he wrote an awesome book out of it,
I'm saying, why this table has 4 chairs? Has four legs, right? Can it be 3? Can it be 5? Can it be 6? But if you don't ask it, you don't have any tables with 6 legs, right? And so the thing is, you want to be novel, you have to ask questions. To me, asking questions and getting answers is what we thrive in. We thrive in getting the answers to the questions we ask.
Right.
And the more answer we have, like we said yesterday, you learn fast, right? The data points you get from finding the answers give you the sense of accomplishment of some sort.
It's like a dopamine hit. I mean, it's a dopamine hit for sure.
Yeah. And we as humanity thrives in getting answers.
Right.
I tell you about the pitch roof, right? Why
Well, I mean, it makes sense because I grew up in the Midwest, right? So like every house around me has some pretty steep pitches,
Yeah.
And I never really thought about it. But whenever I go down to the Southwest or Florida or where you live, it doesn't look like in Arizona, you don't need a pitch roof. As a matter of fact, they pretty much have flat roofs out there, right? For the most part. It's probably for, I don't know, maybe it shields the heat or something. I don't know. Like, but there's a reason why somebody realized that's a better place for that environment. I have this quote pulled up here that I need to share before I lose my train of thought. I just finished a book Tuesday. It's called Amusing Ourselves to Death by the author John Postman. I actually found that book from another book that I read where they were talking about some stuff, and I was like, oh, that sounds kind of interesting book, and I downloaded it and just finished it. It was about the age of TV and the mediums that we use and how it affects our public discourse on learning and how we communicate with each other in general. There was this quote that I wrote down from it that I really enjoyed because you were talking about time servers, right? He said, humans went from timekeepers originally, because we love math and keeping the time, to time savers. So trying to figure out how we can get more of it, I guess, and leverage more. To now we're time servers. Like, you talk about don't run for trains and all that other stuff, right? I mean, I feel the same way as well, but it's hard to not run for trains. I mean, this morning I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off because I was at my parents' house still because our AC didn't fix, but I needed to get all my meaningful work done in the morning before I jetted off to work because I had a meeting at a certain time. Then I had to drive over here and coordinate this guy while I had like 4 other appointments throughout the course of the day. And then we have this, and it's like, I'm just literally serving time. None of these things, the only things that are important for me are this and the stuff that I did in the morning and making sure that my family's okay and taken care of. Beyond that, like every other thing else that's been on my docket for the day, I'm just literally serving time, I guess. I don't even know. It blows my mind to think sometimes, the reflection I was writing about this morning was from that book. And it made me start to think about, like, how am I serving time a lot of times with these different mediums of today, of Facebook and TikTok and yada, yada, yada. And while I do a pretty good job these days, I mean, I would say that you and I are probably in the top 97th percentile of all the world of humans that are focused on meaningful work and their purpose and living their values and all that stuff that we talk about. But there's still big gaps in my day where I am serving Yahoo News or ESPN.com or Purdue rivals websites or whatever they may be, or the Kardashian article on whatever. I don't know why I always click on Kardashian articles. I don't understand it, and they get to me every time. I don't give a shit about. I haven't watched that show in 10 years. I can't remember the last time I actually watched the Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and I still click on the damn Kim's doing this, and I'm like, oh, what's Kim doing? And I don't even know why. Like I'm thinking about all that time that I'm wasting on this stuff, like not asking those questions that Bill is asking around his house, or not writing, or I mean, it pains me because I've made a promise to my daughter to be, to live for tune as much as I could possibly do. And don't get me wrong, I try, but I also know that I can get way better at this stuff. And Bill Bryson is the kind of guy that I want to be someday, where I know, this guy is living his purpose. He is asking the questions. He is being a human. He is doing the things that we are supposed to do. And Naim Taleb is doing the things that we're supposed to do. And that's what I want to do more of for the rest of my life. And I want to get this other shit out of it, And that's, by the way, that's my monthly challenge for next month. I officially decided this morning that I'm going to try to only limit myself to 10 minutes of media a day, work activities or meaningful work.
Fasting.
I'm going on a media fast, and we'll see what happens. So that's next month's challenge.
I think that'd be good. Is that right?
Be more like Bill Bryson.
Yes.
Use your creativity, use your imagination. It's so much more fun than staring at your phone and scrolling through the next TikTok video. Just
be curious and ask questions, because don't take things for granted just because it's been done before doesn't mean it should continue to be done. Because if you don't, then you're always going to inherit the debt of your past, your parents' past, and your grandparents, and humanity's past.
You should write that one down.
Which one?
To inherit the debt of your past.
Yes, inherit the debt of your past.
I'm saying, write that one down. That's really good. It's I feel like that's one of those things you would just randomly see on a LinkedIn, Adam Grant post of be curious or you'll inherit the debt of your past, or whatever.
It sounds good, but what does it mean?
I don't. Well, that's when you got to be curious and go ask. You can't just take. That's why I'm trying to go on a media fast, because Adam Grant maybe did a lot of work to get to that point in time to ask that question or to have that statement, post that out there, right? Like Up says, if it takes no skill to understand something, it takes total mastery to write it, right? You have to really understand the stuff that we're talking about to write that down, to distill it down to something simple enough for people to understand. And it might look simple and where somebody can read it and go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Don't inherit that in your past.
I mean, to build something from nothing, it takes total mastery. To see something that is this, that is that object, that is a house, that is a plane, that is whatever, it's easy. You can see, oh yeah, I see it. But to come out, build something from nothing, that requires total mastery.
And then to be able to say it to somebody else, into a condensed format where they can understand it and digest it. The idea of Clubany, think about the idea of Clubany. We've been for 2 years trying to figure out exactly how to say that to the world. Slowly but surely, we're getting better and better. I feel like I could probably do it in a couple sentences these days, but for the first few months and maybe the first year, we were like, it would take us like 35 minutes to describe it to somebody, and they're like, well, but what is it? And you're like, well, it's like this and then that, and then we do this and then that, and then this happens, and then like, we were like, huh? I don't get it. But someday we'll be able to distill this down to like, Clubany is this, and they're gonna go, oh, I understand that. But that took us a lot of time to get to that.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And question. Awesome. So any final thoughts here on this one?
No, that's it.
You need to write it.
Doesn't matter if I say or not.
Well, it does. I'm saying you need to capture that. You need to write that one down and remember that one for yourself. So someday when it's a truism that we can put out there, we'll share that with the world. Awesome. So the question we can leave with everybody again is, what's something you can see right now that you don't understand that you want to learn more about? So just ask the question. Be curious. Go figure it out. See where it leads you. You never know, right? You can find your beautiful question.
Exactly. All right. Well, we'll see you next time for book 106.